Welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking elite leadership strategies from absolutely high-stakes environments. We're talking military combat, professional sports, and boiling them down into one cohesive playbook for modern teams. We've pulled together insights on extreme ownership, the science of asking the right questions, team architecture, and some real-world case studies to give you the complete picture of what makes a team truly elite. Let's just dive right in.
There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. We're starting with this punchy foundational truth from former Navy SEALs Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Kinda harsh, right? But honestly, this concept is the bedrock of everything we're about to cover. Their philosophy basically argues that leadership is the single determining factor in whether a team wins or loses. It's not about pointing fingers at a bad market or difficult clients or, lazy employees. It's about the leader taking absolute responsibility for literally everything that affects the mission.
And this combat-tested mindset, it is exactly what we need right now. Because let's face it, today's chaotic, highly distributed work environments demand leaders who replace excuses with absolute accountability. When your team is scattered across multiple time zones and huge decisions are happening in quick chat threads instead of physical boardrooms, confusion can spread like wildfire. A leader's job is to step right into that chaos and create crystal clear clarity.
To get there, this explainer is going to take you on a micro to macro journey. We'll start with extreme ownership, look at the power of great questions, unpack the care leadership equation, explore the characteristics of elite teams, and finally, bring it all together with a case study on the All Blacks.
All right, Section 1. Start with extreme ownership, the foundation of accountability.
So there is a stark contrast here. Average management loves to play the blame game, right? Pointing fingers at the market, the software, or the employees the second a deadline slips. But extreme ownership demands a total shift. Elite leaders look inward first. They're constantly asking themselves, okay, what part of this problem do I own? Did I actually clarify the mission? Did I set the right expectations? Was the plan simple enough? Blame just makes teams defensive and slow. But ownership creates a culture where people solve problems so much faster.
And once you, as a leader, own that outcome, you have to empower others to help achieve it through what's called decentralized command. This is literally how you avoid becoming a massive bottleneck. You just can't make every single decision yourself, especially not in a fast-moving, remote team. Instead, you give your well-trained team absolute clarity on the mission and the boundaries, and then you trust them. You let them lead within their own areas, give them the context to think like owners, and the trust to act like them.
Think about a rock climber relying on meticulous preparation to move freely on a dangerous cliff face. Implementing clear standards actually gives your team that exact same kind of freedom. Willink and Babin call this discipline equals freedom. Having clear processes, consistent expectations, and strong habits completely reduces confusion. When your team knows exactly what success looks like, they don't need you hovering over them. They're free to execute, and execute fast.
So, here's the big question. Once you've shifted away from blame, and you own the problem, what is the single most important question you can ask your team to find a solution?
That brings us to Section 2, the power of great questions, the tool of humble inquiry. According to the research on effective communication, there is no greater, more impactful question a leader can ask than this: how can I help? It's just incredibly disarming. It's supportive, and it instantly shifts the dynamic from a boss demanding results to a leader actively removing obstacles so their team can actually win.
This is a massive shift in how we think about management. We really have to move away from that outdated instinct to just dictate orders, telling people what to do, and move toward what organizational expert Edgar Schein calls humble inquiry. Look, telling assumes you already know all the answers, which in today's complex world is pretty dangerous. Asking, on the other hand, builds trust. It shows respect, invites collaboration, and proves you have the humility to recognize that the best ideas usually come from the people actually doing the work.
Let's quickly walk through the 6 specific strategies from the source material to help refine your questioning habits. First up, practice in a group. Role-play some challenges to see which questions get the best answers. Second, ask how questions, like, how might we solve this? It lowers the stakes and assumes success is totally possible. Third, ask big questions to clarify your major goals. Fourth, and I love this one, prep for I don't know. When someone says that, just respond with a totally relaxed, well, if you did know, what would your answer be? You'd be amazed at how often that unlocks a great response. Fifth, default to that magic phrase, how can I help? And finally, use kid-like curiosity. Kids don't have preconceptions. They just genuinely want to understand how things work.
But here's the catch.
Even the most perfectly crafted questions are going to fail completely if the underlying team climate is toxic. If people are scared, there's no way they're answering you honestly. So, how do we fix the climate?
Let's look at Section 3, the CARE leadership equation, cultivating the environment.
To fix the climate, we first have to understand psychological safety. This is the absolute core of an elite environment. Basically, it means your team truly believes they won't be punished, humiliated, or fired just for making an honest mistake or speaking up. Without this safety, fear takes the wheel. Mistakes get swept under the rug, and groupthink completely takes over because nobody wants to stick their neck out. But with it, that's when you see market breakthroughs and unbelievable creativity.
To actually build that safety, leadership expert Alex Draper created the CARE framework, and this perfectly aligns with that decentralized command idea we talked about earlier. CARE stands for clarity, making sure everyone knows the goals; autonomy, giving them the freedom to hit those goals; relationships, building trust through that humble inquiry; and equity, ensuring fairness and fighting biases. This is your practical, actionable blueprint for shifting from a harsh results-at-all-costs approach to a people-first style that completely eliminates toxicity.
Okay, so let's connect the dots here. What actually happens when a leader takes extreme ownership, uses humble inquiry, and actively builds psychological safety with the CARE equation?
That brings us to Section 4, Characteristics of Elite Teams, the Ultimate Outcome.
While the business impact is just undeniable. According to the research, a highly aligned top team brings a massive 1.9 times increased likelihood of hitting above median financial performance. That is huge. Elite teams don't just perform well in a silo, they actually lift up the performance of other teams across the whole organization. They create this incredible collective dividend for everyone.
Now, these groups are built using the Elite Teams framework. Think of it like a giant puzzle of interconnected geometric shapes with 3 structural layers. First, you have your shapers. These are your non-negotiables, like a clear purpose, achievable goals, and open communication. Then you layer in the drivers, things like psychological safety, shared commitment, and diversity of thought so you don't fall into groupthink. And finally, you add the accelerators, talent optimization, continuous feedback, and collective leadership. And collective leadership just means that leading is a shared influence across the team, not just one boss barking orders.
And finally, Section 5, Case Study, the All Blacks, putting the playbook into practice.
We have to talk about New Zealand's national rugby team, the All Blacks. They have sustained an absolutely mind-blowing 77% win rate across 125 years of rugby. Literally no other team in any sport has had that kind of consistent success. So how on earth do they do it? Basically, by living out everything we've just talked about. They select for character over pure talent, because bad character destroys the team family, or WANA. They use joint accountability, meaning absolutely no one is bigger than the team. And they treat every single failure as just another learning opportunity.
But the absolute beating heart of their culture is their central purpose: leave the jersey in a better place. This is the ultimate pinnacle of extreme ownership. Every single player understands their profound responsibility to represent everyone who wore that jersey before them and everyone who's going to wear it after them. It is this compelling higher purpose that focuses all their energy and drives that world-class performance.
Which brings us to our final thought for you today. Take a hard look at your own leadership style. Are you just trying to hit this quarter's targets, or are you trying to build something lasting? Take this playbook. Own your outcomes without any excuses, ask great questions to empower your people, build a psychologically safe culture, and ask yourself, what leadership legacy are you leaving behind? Are you leaving your team's jersey in a better place? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.